I don't have any Hungarian experience, but
yeah, I played here before 1 year ago with another band. We opened the show for a Hungarian girl. I don't know her name. It was like pop, synth pop band.
My name is Tobias Coet, and together with Marco Kleber, my friend and brother in crime, we kinda formed the producer duo Antic from Vienna, and it's kind of funny story how we met, because we started making music together before really meeting each other, so it was kind of an internet project. Yeah. I guess that's the way you call it today. It's definitely pop music, it's electronic pop music, but with a lot of dirt, and we try to fill the gap between experimental sound design and pop music structure or radio structure. So it would be for everyone, listenable for everyone, but with a little bit more dirt in it, I guess.
We don't have any CDs because we don't have the money to print them, and we're more into vinyls because we think the format is much cooler than CD, and the artwork is much bigger, and we just thought, okay, we need something to put in our hands, and the CD is just that small, and it's not the same feeling when you hold a vinyl.
We released our debut EP, the Blood Sugar EP, last year, and it was kind of a decision of everyone that we just make vinyl and download, because if you want to have it physically, you can just get the big one, I guess. We separate between our live set and our studio set, because when we're in the studio, we don't want to limit ourselves in the creative process. Therefore, we just use any instrument we get in our hands and use anything we can use to make it the perfect song, or for us, perfect song. And after the song is finished, we try to get it on the stage as good as possible. And at the beginning, where we stood before a decision, because it's an electronic project, we could have easily just used the laptop and played it in a club, and it would be good enough. But we both come from live music, and therefore we thought, okay, Marco is playing the drums, I can sing and I can play keyboards, and that's how it is.
Yeah, first of all, it's much easier to travel with less equipment. So, but I always tended to use less instruments. So just the snare and a couple of things, which developed over the time, because I don't think that more instruments means more things you can do with it. So I'm much more of a minimalist, and that's the way I think, because when I produce a beat, I never think of 24 sounds. I always think of 3, and that's a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. And that's how I adapted my life setup, because
that's how you adapted your life.
Yeah, that's how I adapted my life.
I guess we both listened a lot to the Beatles when we were young, or we both grew up with the Beatles, and therefore we both have a similar idea of a pop song, and we definitely have a lot of people in modern electronic music who influence us, but it's quite a lot, so it's difficult. Marco is more into the jazzy, electronic, weirdo stuff, and
yeah, basically I like things that sound good. That's my, I don't know, I just like sound design, for example, and I like sound design in music, and when you combine pop music with sound design, that's very interesting, I think, because at first you get the people who listen to pop music and don't even recognize the sound design and the work and effort you put into one sound. And then you get the jazz people, for example, who are like, okay, that sounds really good, that's interesting. So I like to think of many layers when I produce. I have an electronic kick drum, but I have just one sound. So I would have many possibilities with an electronic kick drum, but it's the same thing again. I don't like to have that many options, so I just thought, okay,
let's stick to 808.
Yeah, just one 808 kick drum that I programmed myself. So it's just basically it's a synthesizer, and you can manipulate all the parameters. And I did one kick drum that I really like, and I worked hard on it, just one sound. And it's kind of, it's not that easy to get a kick drum that sounds good on every PA system, and it has to be fat, and it has to have a lot of bass, but it has to sit in the mix perfectly. So, and I found one bass drum that just suits our music well, I think, and that's the sound I use all the time.
I have a little machine on my setup, which is a vocal transformer, Boss vocal transformer. I don't know. I don't want to make advertisement here, but it's analog vocal transformer where you can pitch and manipulate your vocals and put another layer to it, or an octave below, for example. So it's quite simple, and you have to do it all manually, but in the end,
that's the way we like it, to have our things on every parameter.
It's all about interactions with other people, I guess, or the impulse which I get with the interaction to other people or with other people. This can be, for example, sex. This can be
saxophone.
Saxophone. No, it can be anything, I guess. It can be an argument. It can be someone who really disturbs me, or someone who really gets me into something new, for example. And I'll try to focus that into the feeling I get and put it onto the paper, I guess. I was part of a film festival for a few years, so I'm more into the visual art besides music, or that's the second foot I'm standing on creatively, I guess. Or
yeah, I think we're both kind of visual guys, so even when we make music we think visually, or even at least I do. For example, when I program a beat, I'm not just looking on the computer screen or on a drum machine with no lights. So I'm more into drum machines who have lights on them, and just
like a little kid.
It's like a toy.
It's way better when there are lights on it.
Yeah, it makes more fun. But it makes more sense to me if it's visualized what I'm doing and what I'm hearing, and if there's a connection, and that's why I think visuals make sense with music, and that's the other way around, I guess, because I'm thinking when I make music I think visually, and if people hear our music they should get the same way around and see the visualized
and
stuff.
Antic, the 4D experience.
With explosions and
with explosions and stuff. Sometimes we just change the songs for the live set, or we change it between shows because we want to make it kind of open for us, and to be free to change things while the show. For example, Marco can start a loop or stop a loop while the show, so we're free to, for example, if there's one wonderful hook everyone is celebrating, then we can play it a little bit longer for you guys.
Or even all night.
Yeah, or even all night. But yep. we try to keep it as free as
Yeah.
possible. That's the biggest advantage we have with playing music live, which you don't have when you play it with a computer,
Yeah.
just with a computer.
Yeah, but you have to say we use a computer as a backing tracking, so you don't get 100% freedom while playing with a computer, because it's impossible. We are doing so many things at the same time live. So there's parameters we have control over, such as the length of a loop or a sound, but it's more of a compromise, I guess. It's not that we are a jazz band and we have total freedom and can do whatever we want, but
combining the digital and the analog world.
The people get that we are a pop band, and they are not, okay, why is this not free music? I don't get it. So it's okay. We are a pop band, and it's okay to have backing tracks.
Making music or making music for audience doesn't really change. It's always just one step after another, and it's making records, playing shows, making records, playing shows, and enjoying it as much as possible, I guess.
And making millions of euros. You forgot that.
That's your part, I don't think.
That's why I make music, because of the money, just for the money.
Just for the money.
Sorry.
A name we came up with after a long night drinking, because we wanted to have something which doesn't really mean anything, but if you put one word after another, there's an alliteration, so it doubles the end and the N, which stands for two people, I guess, and it's more about the structure of the name, not really about the meaning. Like, for example, bands like Ratatat